the meeting between Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. He Netanyahu wants something from Donald Trump. What is, in your opinion, is Israel somehow feeling that Donald Trump is doing something that is not benefiting them? What is the main reason? Because it was the seventh time, Benjamin Netanyahu in the United States. What's
Yeah.
happening, and what is the main reason of these, endless meetings? And every time, before the negotiations with the Iranians, Witkoff went to Israel, and right now Netanyahu coming to the United States. What does Israel want from the United States?
Well, the master arrived to Washington, D.C., and Israel owns Washington, D.C., top bottom, with a few exceptions there. And he is issuing orders, and he's pressing Trump to do what Israel wants, despite the fact that Israel told Iran that, oh, yeah, let's make the deal that whatever happens to you between you and the United States, we are not involved, to which obviously Iranians told Israel, we don't care, you're going to get it one way or another. So here, basically, I think what he wants all in of the United States. First, Netanyahu is not good militarily. IDF in general do not understand very much the modern war and what it is, especially after the last 12 days when Iran showed them what a real war could look like. But he tries to convince, obviously, Trump to go all in, whatever that means, maybe because the only way United States can do anything about Iran and is obviously going nuclear. But then again, it becomes a pariah state, and they're still not going to defeat Iran. So it's Trump is in the conundrum. It's actually catch-22. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. So if he doesn't do what Israel wants, new dump of the Epstein files will be, provided, and there will be even more thousands mentions of Mr. Trump, who now states that he really hasn't been friend with Mr. Epstein. And if he does it, he may lose their midterms, and it's not going to be easy going. It's not going to be Venezuela 2.0. They cannot buy Iranians. I mean, they can buy some morons from the liberal so-called intelligentsia and all those, agents of Mossad and what have you. But the last couple of times they have been exposed, the network have been exposed fairly thoroughly. And so they do not have as many assets and as effective as they used to. So because obviously their, stalking of the instability in Iran failed. And that's what it is. That's the only thing which is happening there. And Trump, there's no morality there. There's nothing of any kind of this. It's just the pure political calculation, because he knows the moment, God forbid, of course, the coffins of the American servicemen will start to arrive, covered in red, white, and blue by C-17s from the theater. That's gonna look bad, okay? And there is a lot of establishment media which will be, basically parading this all over TV. And Trump doesn't like to look weak and defeated. That's his. And he has midterms. Not that you're gonna be changing one garbage to another. It makes no difference. Both parties are uniparty, essentially just different wings. So, and that's what drives him. So, and evidently he can send the second carrier battle group. Not that it will do much, good anyway. And so we have this situation developing there, and whatever gonna happen, it's gonna happen. But hopefully we will avoid it this time again somehow. But you're just fresh from Tehran. Evidently, Iranian people are ready to fight. So
yeah, I think they're ready to fight. And Andrei, the Trump administration seems that they're sending the second aircraft carrier to the region. And you remember the war between Iraq and the United States. They've sent, I don't know if 6 aircraft carriers.
I don't remember how many. There were few. Yeah, there were several, actually, more than 2.
Yeah. And right now they want to fight Iran with two aircraft carriers. I don't know if it's going to be an Israeli attack on Iran, then the United States trying to back up Israel.
No, this time will be probably United States, judging by what they try to assemble. But the problem is, again, United States never graduated beyond the air-land battle. That's the only thing they know about. United States military, Pentagon, United States Army, they do not know how to fight real combined arms warfare against the top-notch enemy. And here we have the situation that the only thing they know is how to gain their air superiority against such mighty air forces as Afghanistan or Iraq, which also didn't exist. So that's the only thing they know. They know how to bomb. Okay, none of their U.S. Air power was ever in the real threat environment, with the exception of Vietnam. But then again, it was very different setup there. So they don't know how to do it. They know how to bomb. That's the only thing. And so they need to gather all those resources. But the problem is, what can you do? You can put some special operations forces on the ground, probably, insert them. They're not going to win the war. I don't think they can overcome thousands of kilometers before they can get to Tehran, for example, and then you have the situation with the air defense, as I already stated, which is for them it's completely new paradigm, because this Iran has actual air defense, not like Iraq, which had the ancient S-75 systems, which were also not mobile even. So you have this setup, and they probably they hope for the better, I guess, but it doesn't matter how many aircraft carriers you get there. Unlike Iraqis, as I already stated, Iranians are ready to fight. And even the fact that just many people do not pay much attention or do not give much credence to it, United States Navy, one of the Arleigh Burke class destroyers, shut down the Iranian copy. It's not copy, it's similar in appearance to a Reaper drone, but they shot it down in several hundred kilometers away from the Iranian coast. And that's actually for people who are professionals, like, okay, they know where those naval assets are. They send this drone to be shot down, because obviously you're not going to do much with one single drone, but it tells you that they touched it sensor-wise and saying that was the hint. We know where you are. We can develop firing solution, and next time there will be not necessarily drones flying. So that is why they pull those naval assets from the destroyers to, especially aircraft carrier, away from the shore. And we know why they do this, because obviously the reputational risk, apart from the physical risk to the personnel of the U.S. naval forces there, is tremendous. So can you imagine if something leaks and hits the, God forbid, of course, hopefully we will not go there, some superstructure of the aircraft carrier, or kill some personnel, or let alone start major fire there. So we saw what Houthis did, okay? Houthis, for crying out loud, these are the people in primarily sandals with AK-47s and ancient weapon systems. Iran has modern weapon systems, including anti-shipping missiles with a very respectable range. And it has closing Hormuz Strait, that's it. Trump's presidency is over.
Andrei, what is the range of the missiles that these aircraft carriers have? It's because they're far from the Iranian coast.
Yeah,
and if they
they have about between 400 to 500, probably lower, 400 Tomahawks. They have the range of about 2,000 kilometers. They are all in the vertical launch systems, Mk-41, on the Arleigh Burke class destroyers, and maybe they pull some Ohio, the last one. which was converted in the carrier of those Tomahawks. It's about 152, I believe, or 156. I don't remember the number, about that. And probably a couple of Virginias, which each of them has 32 or 36. I also don't remember from the top of my head, of those missiles. So, and that's about it. The rest of it is on the carrier aviation. They have all those kind of the smart munitions, which are they call standoff, but the earlier versions of JASSMs, joint attacks, some whatever the munition. I'm sick and tired of those, decoding those abbreviations. So it's a stealthy subsonic substitute for Tomahawk. It is carried, 3 of them, by Super Hornet. And early versions had the range of about 300 to 500 kilometers. The latest one have the 900 kilometer. So they are developing the 1900 kilometer range missile like that. But it's essentially a more stealthy iteration of the Tomahawk. Pretty much same old. And actually, at some point of time in 2018, Syrians shut down not only out of 109 Tomahawks, they shut down more than 78. There were many JASSMs which has been shut down by the Syrian air defense at that time. So that's pretty much it. What they need, if you have this 900 kilometer JASSM, you need to basically, if you do not want to put your combat aircraft like Super Hornets into the harm's way, is probably launch them, then immediately refuel. That's what usually they do. They take off in a lighter version, then they refuel near the carrier, and then they go. You probably can do it from 1500 kilometer range. But let's not forget, Iran is a large country. North-south, it spreads around 2,000 kilometers, I believe, or something like that, a lot. And so 1,500 kilometers. So it's suddenly, and especially considering where Tehran is, in the northern part, not far from Mazandaran, and so it's like, yeah, you have to enter the airspace. How are you going to enter airspace? Well, you have 2 options. You have Iraq, which is the whole other story, and Iraq is absolutely controlled by the Iran, and of course you have Azerbaijan. And Mr. Aliyev has been warned, evidently, and not by Iran only. Evidently, Mr. Moscow also told them, if you want to get yourself into real trouble, sure, go right ahead. But then, you know what? That's the whole other story. And so we have this dynamics there, and we have this tactical operational dynamics, which United States is facing a very serious catch-22, essentially, apart from the fact that you have to put your air assets in the ground, strips, airstrips, and they are all within the range of Iran. They put some tactical missile, ATACMS type things in Qatar. But I don't know, they are mobile. They hope like they can launch and run away, which they probably can. But the point is that it all depends also on the weight, quote unquote, weight of the salvo of Iranian missiles. United States has nothing in terms of air defense which can seriously mitigate the real attacks.
The air defense systems are usually they're better to go against fighter jets than the missiles.
Yes, I mean they can shoot down probably if they have early warning, and it's which they might have, because obviously United States has a lot of ISR recon assets right now there, and if they have early warning, they theoretically can anticipate the salvo of something like subsonic land attack missiles. Patriot PAC-3 is not good air defense complex, especially against supersonic missiles. And Iran does have supersonic missiles, and we're talking about Mach 2 plus. supersonic missiles, which can also be used cruise missiles. I'm not talking about ballistics. And so, yeah, there are a lot of issues there with, and again, the performance of Israeli American air defense in the last event, last going, was dismal. It was catastrophic. They failed so dramatically. It's unbelievable. Yeah, they intercepted something like, by different estimates, 25, maybe 30% of the missiles. The rest of it just went through. That is why Israel classified every single video or photos which were coming out of Israel, in order to basically control narrative. That's what they're good at, narratives primarily. They're not really good at fighting wars. But yeah, United States now is on notice from Tel Aviv that it's either our way or highway, and United States going to be harmed further by Israel if it continues to do. Not that it's not harmed. We already discussed it with you. About the total collapse of the social contract in the combined West, especially with the pedophile rings basically running the country. And what can I say? So we have this absolutely crazy dynamics which you wouldn't expect even 10 years ago.
So, if I'm not mistaken, if I understand you, the way that you describe it is that Israel wants the United States to fight Iran.
Of
And
course.
they're going to
Yeah,
be
it
on the
always did.
margin. They're not going to be that involved.
That's what they always did. IDF is basically gendarmerie. It's a police force with heavy equipment. It's not good at fighting anybody, So all those, many people forget that even first, those mythology grossly inflated by the AIPAC and Israeli lobby in the United States about 1967 war, 1973, and well, they lost in 1973 war just to air defense more than 120 combat aircraft. Many people forget. Obviously, those air defense complexes have been manned primarily by the Soviet operators, but they were fighting. Backward, actually, most of them were illiterate at that time, Arab armies, which are incapable of proper. Well, you saw yourself how they sold out also the, Assad, and it's if you try to make and build something on that, it's like even when they were outnumbered, we are talking about people with different cultures in terms of their dedication and training. Israelis were obviously supremely more well trained than Arab armies, still are. But the problem is, after we saw what happened in 2006 at Litani, after we saw what is happening still in Gaza, and they still cannot defeat Hamas. It's how many 20 square mile little place. So that's not good force, and their pride about like we're great air force. Not really. They can fly definitely, but point is that as the last time when they had this goal, for them the shocker was that actually there was Iranian radar which locked on the F-35. So there you go. That's all your stealth with everything you need to know about it. So they know that they are vulnerable. They know they're defenseless after the last time. And everybody saw those dramatic, basically, videos of the Nevatim base being absolutely destroyed, on the ground facilities. They saw what happened in the Tel Aviv, and things of this nature. They don't want to repeat it, but they always wanted Americans to fight for them. They always wanted American GIs, American guys to die for them. That is why they need the Christian Zionist movement in the United States. That is why they control the Congress, and but most of them are controlled by Israel. Those fanatics from the Christian Zionist movement in the United States. Their task is for American boys to die for Israel. And they have the whole AIPAC and Israeli First establishment from media, like all kinds of the, what have you, pro-Israeli news outlets like Newsweek, for example, or what have you. And their task is to convince United States to go and die fighting Iran, because Iran is described by those fanatics in Tel Aviv as the existential threat. Well, I mean, that's simple as that. Really, there's nothing more to it.